Hey, what is up, mortals? It's Dylan here with a new video for you. Welcome to the second season, part 5 of What If Izuku Had a Decay Quirk. I just wanted to greet you guys by just saying, sit back and relax, because you're in for a treat. So, we begin. After the pro hero Hawks flew away, Izuku returned his attention back to the center of the stadium, where the next match was now starting. It was Tenya Ida versus Mei Hatsume. From what Midoriya could see, at that distance, Ida was wearing some strange contraption around his waist, extending up to his shoulders, where it shot out like a pair of wings. Izuku scratched his head, wondering why his friend was wearing such a device. But upon hearing Tenya debate his use of the device with Midnight, he chose to drop the question and decided to watch the fight. Taking out his notebook and pen, he began to take notes on a new page. So far throughout his time in UA, he had been taking notes on all the other students' quirks as often as he could. He already had several pages on his classmates and how their quirks worked and their fighting style meant to complement their powers. Midoriya wasn't sure when information like this would be of any use, but he still liked having it. After several years of studying heroes in middle school, it became second nature for Izuku to take notes on everything he found interesting. Perhaps one day would come of use to him. Izuku pondered the idea of him using this kind of info to do some kind of epic combo attack with one of his classmates. Midoriya smiled to himself at the thought of a future where he and his friends became heroes with special combination attacks they could use together. Now in the happier mood thanks to his daydreaming, he returned his attention to the fight that was about to start. Upon the beginning of what could be barely called a fight, Tenya was being thrown around by the gadget he wore around his waist, propelling him around with shots of compressed air coming out of the metal attachments that almost looked like wings. Midoriya stared down at the arena below in a complete loss of words as Hatsume Mei casually propelled herself around, using gadgets, avoiding Tenya's best attempts to attack her. All the while, she was using him as a testing dummy to advertise her inventions in the middle of a tournament. After several minutes of the metallic speedster being fumbled around like a broken toy around the arena for Mei's benefit, she had finally gotten through all of her inventions she wanted to show off. She landed back down on the ground, no longer avoiding Tenya's charges, and calmly, with a wide smile on her face, walked outside of the arena's boundaries, withdrawing from the match. "You tricked me!" Ida yells out angrily, after he was finally freed from the match. "I'm sorry. I used you." Mei coldly looks away, trying to avoid looking at Tenya, as she exits the arena. The crowd looked confused, as both fighters left the concrete arena after a rather disappointing fight took place. President Mike was yelling over the speakers, trying to keep the audience's attention and hyping up the next match to take place. "Everybody, get ready! Next round will be a spectacular one, with two Class 1A students going head-to-head. Class 1 is Katsuki Bakugo versus 1 is Ochako Uraraka." President Mike enthusiastically yelled out, trying to bring excitement back into the crowd. This happened to work with the entire crowd, now excited and cheering in anticipation for the next fight. Midoriya decides to leave where he was watching the fight from and go visit Bakugo before his match begins. As he walked down the stairs to the resting area, Izuku passed Tenya, who looked to be heading to the same area he was. "Hey, Tenya! Good match out there!" Midoriya exclaimed before realizing that was a rather poor exaggeration. "Yeah. Thanks, Midoriya. Can't believe I was fooled that easily." Tenya sighed at his own failure. He was tricked so easily into advertising other students' gadgets. "Anyways, Izuku, are you down here to visit Uraraka before a match too?" "No, I was about to visit Bakugo in a few minutes. Are you going to visit Uraraka?" Midoriya asked curiously. "Indeed. I was planning to wish her good luck before the match. Would you like to visit as well? I'm sure she would appreciate the extra support," Ida suggested as they both were walking down the stairs together. "Yeah, of course." Izuku began following Tenya once they reached the bottom of the stairs, and Ida led him to one of his break rooms, meant for upcoming fighters to rest in before the match. They both walked into the room to find Uraraka sitting at the table thinking to herself. It took her a few seconds to notice Tenya and Midoriya had both entered the room. Upon realization, she was startled and quickly apologized. "Oh, I'm really sorry. I didn't notice the door opened." Ochako quickly explained, worried she had offended them in some way. "No need to apologize. It's fine. You have a big fight coming up. It isn't weird for you to be worried," Midoriya stated before Ida spoke up. "It's good you are treating this match with such importance. Bakugo will be a difficult opponent to overcome," Ida explained. "Thank you both. I just really don't know how to approach this fight. Ochako sighed. Bakugo and I are friends. I don't want to lose, but I don't want him to lose either. Ochako explained for Midoriya and Tenya. I've been friends with Kachan for a while. My suggestion is for you to fight with your best. That's what he would want. He wouldn't really accept it any other way. Midoriya chuckled a bit, thinking back to his past with Bakugo. Thank you, Midoriya. Ochako smiled, now feeling reassured on what to do. I'm happy you and Bakugo are friends. He wasn't always like that. Several years ago, he was a serious bully to everyone around him. Changed over time, and has become a kind person underneath his delinquent exterior. Izuku chuckled once again. Ochako was about to reply, when suddenly, the speakers in the room turned on, with a bit of static before her voice picked up. All right! The next match will begin in 5 minutes! May Katsuki Bakugo and Ochako Uraraka make their way to the arena, please! President Mike announced enthusiastically through the building speakers. Oh, looks like I have to go. Thank you both for all the help, Ochako said as she got up from her chair to leave the room. It's no problem. Good luck and fight hard! Midoriya told Uraraka before she left the room. After leaving the room, Tenya spoke up to speak to Izuku. Sorry for dragging you here too long. You missed a chance to speak to your friend Bakugo before the match. He'd apologized to the confused Midoriya. It's all right. You don't need to apologize for that. Kachan wouldn't have wanted me to visit anyways. If we both win our upcoming matches, we have to face each other. Meaning for the time being, he sees us both as rivals more than anything. Izuku explained to Ida as they both left the room to find seats up in the stands. Before we get back to the video, I'd like to talk about our new channel, Celestia. Our channel, dedicated to all things Dungeons & Dragons. Currently we have a series breaking down the different spells in D&D, and soon we'll be starting some new series as well. So, if you're a fan of D&D, or have an interest in learning about it, check it out. Additionally, if there's something you've always wanted to see get made into a video, head over there and leave a comment mentioning it. Now back to the video. Bakugo exited his assigned room and walked outside to the middle of the stadium where the bright sunlight hit him. The crowd started screaming in excitement as both fighters walked out from opposing ends of the stadium, walking towards the arena in the center. Katsuki walked up the concrete stairs to reach the top of the arena, where standing several yards in front of him was a girl he had become friends with during his time at UA. Uraraka and him both stood on the concrete arena waiting for the match to start. Bakugo did not want to seriously harm his friend, but he would hate himself if he hadn't taken this seriously. So Bakugo had decided before the match that he was going to fight at full force. No holding back even against his friends. That only showed weakness and disrespect. Bakugo stared at his friend, no, his opponent, and watched them as he stood ready for the match to begin. Looking at Uraraka's facial expression, Bakugo smirked. All he saw was pure determination in her eyes. She was fighting to win as well. Pro heroes Midnight and Cementos stood on a separate concrete platform not too far away, both heroes acting as judges for the fights. All right, ready? Start! Midnight announced at the top of her lungs, announcing the start of the last fight of the first round. The audience grew excited with their cheering overflowing the stadium. Ochako began running full speed at Bakugo, who remained still, waiting for her to approach. She ran, and when she got close to him, she tried reaching out to touch him and activate her quirk. Before she could do so, he ignited an explosion in his palm, launching her back. She kept at it, running toward him, even using the smoke his explosions caused as cover to sneak up behind him. Each time he used his explosion quirk to push her back. Although he was fighting seriously, he didn't want to seriously injure her. This was just a school tournament. He may be a delinquent, but he won't go that far. Katsuki thought back to how he was in preschool, where he would always bully Izuku. He sighed, realizing if he had stayed that way, he would be fighting ruthless right now, aiming to injure his opponent. Katsuki paid attention to the fight, tracking Ochako's movements around him to make sure he doesn't lose her, and make a flaw leading to him losing. Bakugo found her running pattern weird. She would keep orbiting around him as she ran low to the ground. He couldn't figure out what she was trying to do, but knew she had some sort of plan. He needed to get away from her before her plan came into action. Katsuki shot strong explosions, pushing him in a different direction from Uraraka, trying to push distance between the two of them. Bakugo kept his eyes on Uraraka and noticed she placed her hands together, signifying she was deactivating her quirk. This seriously worried Katsuki as he looked up, worried about what she had to use her quirk on. When he looked up, he was shocked to find hundreds of debris and rubble caused from his explosions tearing up the concrete arena. Bakugo had a way to escape this, although it would seriously impede his fighting ability for the rest of the match. He lifted one arm and held it in place with his other arm. He prepared to launch a giant explosion up into the air to combat the falling debris. Putting strain on his muscles, he released a powerful explosion up into the air. The large explosion launched Ochako back several yards. As it destroyed or blew back all the debris falling toward him, Bakugo's arm fell as he was experiencing too much pain from that arm to want to move it any longer. Katsuki looked over to where Uraraka was launched towards and noticed she was slowly getting up. She had a defeated look on her face, but the look of determination was still in her eyes. She stood up and ran toward him like she had done before. Bakugo was happy and had started to run toward her as well, to continue their fight, when he witnessed her weakly trip over her exhausted legs. She began to fall. Bakugo rushed over and caught her before she hit the ground. Holding her up with his uninjured arm, she passed out from exhaustion, and he noticed how much damage to her body his explosions had actually caused. Ochako Uraraka is unable to continue! Katsuki Bakugo has won the match! President Mike yells out to the stadium of stunned spectators. Several medics rush to the field to carry Uraraka to Recovery Girl to patch her up. Bakugo followed them and waited outside of Recovery Girl's office, sitting on the hallway floor to make sure his friend was all right. Thank you all for indulging yourselves in all this information thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things that I like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, I like to say if you're in the mood for some great storytelling, We the Celestials has you covered. Our We the Celestials My Hero Academia and Naruto What If channels retell the story of their namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you're interested. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in today's excellent content production. Their details can be found in the description below. Lastly, if you are interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, which I can imagine, I'd like to extend an invitation to join our team. The only caveat is that we only accept members from 16 years old to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interests by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from us for today's video. So thank you all for watching, and have a great day.